Most people think leadership is about commanding respect, about inspiring loyalty, about building a team that always stands with you. But here's the truth no one tells you. The moment you refuse to be controlled, the moment you walk your own path, the moment you say no to quiet manipulation, that's when the real battle begins. Suddenly the smiles fade, the whispered doubts start, the subtle sabotage creeps in, not from strangers, but from the people you once trusted. This video isn't about theory. It's about survival. It's about the hidden tests every real leader faces, and the silent traps designed to break your discipline, your confidence, and your reputation. Today, you'll learn 8 invisible tactics weak people use against strong leaders, and more importantly, how to master yourself so they can never touch you again. Because the ones who win in leadership aren't the loudest, aren't the flashiest. They are the ones who refuse to be moved. Before we dive in, let me ask you, have you ever felt betrayed by the very people you thought were on your side? Have you ever sensed the room change, the moment you stopped being easy to control? If you have, you're not alone. Drop a comment below, even just a simple, "I've been there," because your story might give strength to someone else silently fighting the same battle. Now, let's begin. Point 1. Manipulation moves in when control fails. Have you ever noticed how some people change the moment they realize they can't control you? It's subtle at first, a disappointed glance, a passive-aggressive comment, a guilt trip wrapped in false concern. You're not trying to rebel. You're simply exercising your right to make independent decisions. And yet somehow, that very independence threatens them. This is the silent battlefield of true leadership, not resisting commands, but resisting emotional manipulation. Guilt, flattery, urgency. They'll throw everything at you, not to respect your boundaries, but to sneak past them. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. That's the real test. Not how you control others, but how you master yourself when others try to pull your strings. Think about Howard Schultz, the man who turned Starbucks into a global icon. In the early days when he proposed the idea of selling premium coffee experiences, he wasn't just facing skeptical investors. He faced friends, mentors, colleagues, people who praised him in public, but questioned him in private. They didn't tell him no. They guilt-tripped him. They flattered him. They sowed doubt, one concerned conversation at a time. But Howard didn't argue. He didn't over-explain. He didn't seek their approval. He stayed disciplined, grounded in his vision, and he built a brand that reshaped American culture. Here's the truth. No one tells you, when people realize they can't control you, they won't always fight you. They'll try to steer you, emotionally, quietly, until you hand them the wheel. And the moment you start defending yourself emotionally, you're no longer leading, you're reacting. True leadership demands a higher discipline, the ability to hear manipulation, recognize it, and calmly walk your own path anyway. So the next time someone says, "After everything I've done for you," or "You're making a huge mistake," pause, breathe, smile. Their need to control says more about their insecurities than your decisions. Lead yourself first, and you'll never have to worry about who's trying to lead you, because at the end of the day, the greatest victories in leadership are often silent, won not by overpowering others, but by refusing to surrender. The only thing that truly matters, your mind. Point 2. Your reputation becomes their battlefield.
One of the hardest lessons in leadership is realizing that your greatest challenge won't come from direct confrontation. It'll come from whispers behind your back.
When you refuse to be controlled, when you lead with integrity and discipline, there will always be those who resort to something lower. They'll spread lies, not because you failed them, but because your independence unsettles them. This is the battlefield every real leader must cross. And how you respond to those lies? It defines the true weight of your leadership. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." It's not the rumor that damages you, it's your reaction to it. And mastering that reaction, that's where true leadership and true discipline begin. Think about Jeff Bezos. During Amazon's early days, the critics lined up, media hit pieces, business rivals laughing, even employees questioning his vision. When the dot-com bubble burst, they didn't just doubt him, they mocked him. False stories flooded the headlines. Amazon would collapse. Bezos was reckless, irresponsible, and yet Bezos didn't waste energy defending himself. He focused on two things: building, delivering. While others gossiped, he built. While others speculated, he delivered. Amazon became one of the most powerful companies on earth, not because Jeff Bezos fought every rumor, but because he let results speak louder than accusations. This is leadership. You don't control what others say. You control what you build. And when they throw lies at you, your instinct will scream, "Defend yourself." But remember this, in leadership, reaction is vulnerability. The more you defend, the more power you give the lie. Real strength lies in staying the course, in building excellence so undeniable that truth speaks louder than noise. Imagine your reputation like a marble statue. If someone throws mud at it, you don't fight the mud. You don't shout at the wind. You let it dry. You brush it off. The marble remains unshaken. In a world fueled by gossip and instant judgment, the discipline to stay calm, silent, and focused is rare. And it's what sets real leaders apart. Seneca said it best, "It is the power of the mind to be unconquerable." If your mind is stable, if your actions are consistent, no rumor, no slander, no whisper can defeat you. They might try to erode your image for a season, but leadership is built across decades. At the end of the day, reputations built on noise fade, but reputations built on discipline, they last forever. Stay steady, stay building, and let the whispers exhaust themselves trying to catch up with you. In leadership, you can't control what others say, but you can control what you build. Have you ever faced false stories or rumors and chose to let your actions speak instead of fighting back? Share your experience in the comments. Your resilience might remind someone today that real strength never needs to explain itself. Point 3. Victimhood is their last weapon. There's a quiet trap that many leaders fall into, not because they are weak, but because they are human. It happens when someone, after being held accountable, flips the script and suddenly plays the victim. Instead of owning their mistakes, they make you the villain. It's subtle, it's calculated, and if you're not careful, it can drag you off your path. The temptation is strong. You want to defend yourself. You want to set the record straight. You want to argue, to explain, to make others see the truth. But here's what Stoicism and leadership teaches us: that urge to react. It's a trap. Epictetus once said, "When someone does you wrong, immediately consider what judgment of good or evil led him to do it. Once you see that, you will pity him.
and you won't feel anger. This is emotional mastery at the highest level. The discipline to see manipulation for what it is, and to refuse to be dragged into someone else's story. Look at Satya Nadella. When he took over as CEO of Microsoft, the company wasn't just struggling with competition, it was struggling with itself, a divided culture, old habits clinging to survival. And when Nadella introduced a new vision, some didn't resist with logic, they resisted emotionally. They played the victim. We're being left behind. We're misunderstood, not because Nadella was unjust, but because they feared losing control. But Satya didn't take the bait. He didn't argue. He didn't defend. He stayed relentlessly focused. Empathy, clarity, disciplined execution. And slowly, those who adapted stayed. Those who didn't faded away. Today, Microsoft is stronger than ever because Nadella led with emotional control. That's the real lesson. When someone plays the victim, it's not about justice. It's about deflection. It's about avoiding accountability by making you the problem. If you step into that performance, you lose. You become part of their act. But if you stay calm, if you refuse to react emotionally, their story collapses without your participation. Leadership isn't about proving your innocence. It's about standing firm, anchored in values, letting time reveal what emotion would have clouded. Seneca once said, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay." Sometimes the greatest act of leadership is silence, not weakness, strength under control. In a world fueled by narratives where victimhood can be weaponized, the leaders who thrive are the ones who master themselves. They don't chase applause. They don't argue with manipulators. They keep building. They keep leading. At the end of the day, playing the victim is a strategy for the weak. Self-discipline, emotional control is the shield of the strong. Stay calm, stay above it, and remember, a true leader doesn't chase approval. He builds something that doesn't need explaining. It simply endures. Point 4. Isolation is a tactic, not a coincidence. One of the most calculated tactics used against independent leaders isn't confrontation. It's isolation. When people realize they can't control you directly, they don't always attack you head-on. They work behind the scenes, planting doubts, twisting narratives, turning allies into skeptics. Their goal is simple: cut you off, weaken your resolve, force you into submission. But leadership, real leadership, requires the discipline to see this strategy and the strength to stay unmoved. Seneca once warned, "Associate with those who will make a better man of you. Welcome those whom you yourself can improve." The process is mutual, for men learn while they teach. Guard your vision. Guard your circle. Think about Howard Schultz. When he proposed expanding Starbucks beyond Seattle, he wasn't just selling coffee. He was selling community, connection. And what did he face? Resistance, ridicule, whispers in the dark. Howard's ideas are too risky. He doesn't understand the core market. We need someone more realistic. They didn't argue openly. They planted seeds of doubt inside his own camp. It wasn't confrontation they wanted. It was division. It was isolation. If Schultz had chased after every skeptic, if he had begged for their approval, Starbucks might have remained a local business. Instead, he demonstrated network discipline. He stayed loyal to the vision. He nurtured those who believed, and he let go of those who didn't. No anger, no bitterness, just clarity. That's the test every leader must pass. When the room grows cold, when relationships shift, when old friends pull away. You must remember,
It's not your job to repair every connection. It's your duty to protect your foundation. Imagine your leadership like a bridge. Not every traveler is meant to cross it. Some are there only to shake it, to weaken it, to tear it down from within. Leadership discipline means reinforcing that bridge, not begging the wrong travelers to stay. In today's hyper-connected world, where opinions travel faster than truth, mastering this discipline is critical. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." When someone tries to isolate you, they are unknowingly sharpening your leadership. If you respond with wisdom, not reaction. Your job isn't to chase every lost connection, it's to fortify yourself, to strengthen the alliances that sharpen you, not weaken you. At the end of the day, real relationships don't fracture from whispers, they deepen through storms. Stay focused, stay loyal to your mission, and let those who cannot walk beside you fall away without regret. Because a leader who stands firm will always attract those who are meant to stand with him. True leadership isn't about keeping everyone close. It's about standing firm when the wrong people drift away. Have you ever had to let go of relationships that no longer aligned with your mission? Share your experience in the comments, because sometimes the people you lose make space for the people you truly need. Point 5. Doubt is the silent poison. No one tells you this, but one of the most dangerous attacks you'll face as a leader won't come from enemies trying to destroy you. It will come from people who quietly, slowly make you doubt yourself. They won't confront you. They won't fight you openly. Instead, they'll whisper. They'll plant small seeds of uncertainty until you start second-guessing your own instincts. Are you sure that's the right move? Maybe you should slow down. Isn't that a little too ambitious? It feels harmless at first, but if you're not disciplined, it chips away at your confidence. Not overnight. One hesitation at a time. One small retreat at a time. Until the leader inside you starts to shrink. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The mind adapts and converts to its own purposes the obstacle to our acting. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Leadership isn't about avoiding obstacles. It's about using resistance to sharpen your conviction. Jeff Bezos lived this principle when Amazon was still just an online bookstore, when he bet everything on e-commerce. At a time when few believed in it, the critics weren't just outside. Inside Amazon, trusted voices doubted his decisions. We should be focusing on profits. This pace isn't sustainable. At every turn, Bezos faced soft but persistent pressure to slow down, to play it safe, to shrink. But he didn't let their fear become his. He stayed ruthlessly disciplined to his vision, long-term thinking, relentless customer focus, building something bigger than short-term approval. And because he stayed disciplined under pressure, Amazon survived the dot-com crash and redefined an industry. That's the real test of leadership, not avoiding criticism, not chasing approval, but refusing to let subtle doubt infiltrate your mission. When people question your confidence, it's rarely about you. It's about their own limitations. And if you start explaining yourself, if you start tailoring your dreams to fit their fears, you lose. Seneca once advised, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." The doubts you face aren't signs you're failing, they're invitations to harden your discipline, to forge deeper clarity, to prove, not to them, but to yourself, that you were always built for more. So the next time someone questions your path, don't rush to defend. Don't water down your vision. Don't explain away your instincts to make them comfortable. Stay firm, stay focused, and let your work, not your words, prove the truth. In leadership, hesitation costs more than mistakes. Trust yourself. Move forward. And build something so strong, it silences every doubt without you saying a word. Point 6, provocation, is a test of your mastery. Have you ever felt someone trying to push your buttons? Not because they wanted a conversation, but because they wanted a reaction. Have you ever sensed it? A comment made just sharp enough to sting. A challenge thrown not to test ideas, but to test your control. It's not about logic. It's about pulling you into their storm. One of the oldest tactics in human nature is provocation. When people realize they can't control you through reason, when they can't sway you with doubt, they turn to something more primal. They poke at your pride. They test your patience. They try to ignite your temper, because the moment you lose control, they win. In leadership, mastering your emotional reactions isn't optional. It's essential. The real battlefield isn't what happens around you. It's how you respond within. Satya Nadella faced this test when he took the reins at Microsoft. He didn't just inherit a company. He inherited a battlefield of egos, old rivalries, and quiet resistance. When Nadella pushed for cultural transformation, some executives didn't just resist, they provoked, publicly mocking his emphasis on empathy, privately undermining his vision. They wanted him to snap. They wanted him to abandon his approach and fight fire with fire. But Nadella didn't. He stayed measured. He stayed strategic. He stayed calm. And because he did, he rebuilt Microsoft's internal culture, not through rage, but through unwavering emotional discipline. Today, Microsoft stands as proof self-mastery isn't just a virtue, it's a leadership weapon. In your own path, you will face the same provocations. A partner who twists your words, a competitor who tries to bait you into an outburst, a critic who knows exactly where to jab. The temptation to react will feel overwhelming, but every emotional reaction is a power transfer. Lose your temper and you hand over control. Stay calm and you keep it. Imagine your emotions like a flame. Every insult, every provocation is a gust of wind trying to fan that fire out of control. But if you guard that flame, if you control the burn, no storm can consume you. Seneca once said, "No man is more powerful than he who has himself in his own power." The provocations you face aren't setbacks. They're training grounds. They're proving grounds. The next time someone tries to bait you, remember, they don't want a dialogue. They want a reaction. Don't give it to them. Stay calm. Stay strategic. And let every provocation become another stepping stone toward unshakable leadership. Because at the highest levels of success, it's not the loudest leader who wins. It's the one who refuses to be moved. Every real leader knows the battle isn't outside, it's inside. Have you ever fought to stay calm when everything in you wanted to fight back? Drop your story below, because your discipline today might give another leader the courage to stay steady tomorrow. Point 7. Imitation is their unspoken surrender. There's a moment every strong leader faces when imitation starts to surround them. At first, it feels flattering. A colleague mirrors your ideas. A competitor copies your strategy. A peer adopts your style, your tone, your moves. But soon it becomes clear they're not admiring you, they're trying to become you. This is the silent test of leadership authenticity. It's easy to get frustrated.
It's tempting to feel threatened, but a true leader understands being copied is not a sign of weakness. It's proof you are moving ahead. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one." Leadership isn't about convincing others who you are. It's about living it so consistently that imitation becomes inevitable. Look at Howard Schultz. When Starbucks exploded onto the scene, competitors scrambled to replicate his model. Coffee shops looked the same, sounded the same, even hired former Starbucks managers to decode his methods. But Schultz didn't waste time fighting imitators. He didn't dilute the brand. He didn't defend. He doubled down on authenticity. He leaned harder into community, into customer experience, into a culture of connection, because Schultz understood something critical. No one can steal your essence. They can mimic the surface, but not the substance. And that is true leadership. When people copy you, it's not your job to fight them. It's your job to keep evolving. Because when you stay focused on your own growth, the imitators will always be a step behind, chasing the version of you that no longer exists. In today's world, filled with noise and endless comparison, it's easy to lose yourself, to waste energy protecting, defending, proving. But leadership is built differently. It's built by those who create from conviction, not from the need for applause. Seneca once said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." The leader who craves imitation, who craves recognition, is already losing. The leader who trusts his path, who keeps building without fear, wins the only race that matters. So when you see others copying you, smile. It means you've become a signal they can't ignore, a force they can't replicate. Stay disciplined. Keep refining your craft. Keep becoming the person they can only chase but never catch. Because at the highest levels of leadership, originality isn't about being flashy. It's about being so deeply aligned with your mission that imitation becomes irrelevant. Lead forward, not to be copied, but to be complete. Point 8. Some applaud, while secretly waiting for you to fall. Most people think that the greatest threat to leadership comes from open enemies, from fierce competitors, from public attacks. But the truth is much quieter and much more dangerous. The real threat comes from those who smile in your face, but silently hope you fail. Some people, even those who once cheered you on, are quietly keeping score, waiting, hoping, not for your rise, but for your collapse. And when the inevitable setbacks come, because setbacks always come, they're the first to whisper, "I knew it." This is one of the harshest realities of leadership, and it doesn't test your talent, it tests your focus. Because if you start leading to prove doubters wrong, if you shift from building your mission to chasing their approval, you've already lost. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Never mind what others do, only what you do. Do not waste what remains of your life in speculating about others." Your mission is too important to be hijacked by the noise of the skeptical. Jeff Bezos understood this better than most. In Amazon's early years, Wall Street doubted him. The media mocked him. Insiders questioned his decisions. And when the dot-com bubble collapsed, the critics pounced. See, Amazon was just a fad. Bezos is reckless. It was inevitable. But Bezos didn't waste energy defending himself. He didn't pivot to win headlines. He didn't water down the vision. He stayed disciplined. He stayed focused. He kept building because he knew that leadership isn't about winning popularity contests. It's about executing your mission with ruthless consistency. And today, Amazon doesn't exist because the world believed early. It exists because Bezos refused to let disbelief break his momentum. That's the real test of leadership. Can you stay steady, even when the world is silently rooting against you? Seneca once said, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that things are difficult." It's easy to dare when the crowd is cheering. It's far harder and far more powerful to dare when the crowd is waiting for you to fail. So when you feel the silent watchers, the skeptics, the doubters, the quiet scorekeepers, don't explain yourself. Don't lower your ambition to fit their fears. Smile and get back to work, because your success isn't fueled by their applause. It's fueled by your discipline. Every day you execute without apology. You widen the gap between your destiny and their expectations. At the end of the day, leadership isn't about proving others wrong. It's about proving yourself right. Lead forward, eyes locked on the mission, unmoved by their silence, untouchable by their doubt, because the ones who wait for you to fall will spend a lifetime waiting while you keep rising.
In leadership and business, success rarely collapses because of loud enemies. It fractures when leaders allow silent doubt to pull them off course. You will encounter people who subtly question your vision, who quietly root for your missteps, not out of malice, but out of fear. The most disciplined leaders do not react to whispers. They stay loyal to the mission, unmoved by validation or skepticism. Jeff Bezos built Amazon through brutal seasons of doubt, not by chasing approval, but by executing relentlessly. Real leadership isn't about proving others wrong. It's about proving yourself right, day after day, action after action. If you could leave one lesson for the next generation of leaders about how to stay strong when others doubt you, what would it be? Drop your legacy advice in the comments. Someone out there needs it. And if you're building something greater than yourself, subscribe for more real-world Stoic leadership insights, designed for those who choose action over approval.